In the autumn of 2017, Chris McNabb, who was 26 at the time, his partner and their newborn baby girl, Kalia, faced a harrowing ordeal when they discovered that Kalia was missing from her bed one morning. In court, they shared the stressful details of searching everywhere, in drawers, under beds, inside boxes of clothes, but they couldn't find Kalia anywhere in the house. Soon after, a huge police search started, pushed on by Chris, who was determined to find his daughter, saying, "That's my job, I want my kids." The sad situation came to a head when Kalia was found dead in a gym bag that belonged to Chris at a nearby fitness center. After finding her, Chris briefly ran away from the town. The court case that followed showed some really disturbing stuff. They found Kalia wrapped up in a way that looked really suspicious. She was wearing a purple onesie and a diaper, which made it hard to believe Chris and his partner were innocent. More upsetting details came out during the trial. A psychologist talked about how Chris behaved weirdly while he was locked up, wearing a special suit to prevent him from harming himself. He was also accused of inappropriate actions, such as masturbating in front of the psychologist during a session, which he denied, blaming it on the suit not fitting right. In court, Chris fought hard against the charges, insisting he was innocent and shocked by the accusations. He said, "I'm innocent. I didn't do it. I just don't understand how you find somebody guilty of doing something to a 15-day-old baby because there was no evidence whatsoever that proved anything about me putting my hands on my kids. I've never done it. I never would. I don't believe in it. I was beaten as a child and I don't agree with it at all, and I would never do it." The judge then asked him, "Well, since you claim your innocence, what punishment do you think should be given to the person who did this?" Chris answered, "They deserve to be in jail." The judge then sentenced Chris to life without parole for malice murder and added 10 years for hiding the death. He asked Chris if he understood, and Chris said, "Yes, sir." Chris's girlfriend, Courtney, also faced the judge. She was criticized for not looking after her kids well enough, which put them in danger. Despite her protests and trying to explain herself, she got a 30-year sentence, with the first 15 years in jail and the rest on probation, plus a concurrent 10-year sentence for another charge. Both Chris and Courtney still say they were innocent as they accepted their sentences. In a new and even more disturbing case out of Michigan, Ortiz Nieves found himself in deep trouble, charged with first-degree child abuse and felony murder connected to the death of 4-year-old Giovanni Mejias, who was his girlfriend's son. Back in June 2017, the poor kid was found lifeless on the kitchen floor, and right after that, the local deputies arrested Ortiz. The doctors who checked Giovanni said he died because someone had hit him really hard in the stomach, causing internal bleeding. During his trial, Ortiz kept saying he didn't do it, but the evidence stacked against him was just too much. The doctor who examined Giovanni was pretty clear that the boy's injuries didn't just happen by accident. They were from someone hitting him hard. Ortiz's lawyers tried to suggest maybe other kids in the house could have been responsible, which even the boy's mom considered for a bit. Ortiz stuck to his story, saying he never hurt Giovanni or any other kids, and even offered to take a lie detector test to prove he was there to help, not hurt. But the jury didn't buy it after hearing all the solid evidence and witnesses, and they convicted him. At the sentencing, even the boy's mom, who at first backed Ortiz, told the court how sad she was and talked about all the things Giovanni would never get to do because of what Ortiz did. Before handing out a sentence, Judge Mark Trusock had some really tough words for Ortiz. He said, "You can claim you're innocent, but I was here for the whole trial, listening to everything. And let me tell you, the jury got it right. It's clear you did this horrible thing and killed that little boy. This has been one of the most awful trials I've ever had to deal with." But Ortiz wasn't about to stay quiet. He shot back saying, I ain't gonna let you sit here and say no crazy stuff about me, man." He continued, "No, man, 'cause you don't even know, man." Then, just a sharp, "Sir." And if anyone tried to interrupt him, he'd snap, "Anyone says anything back." And then the moment came for his sentence. Judge Trusock really laid into him, saying, "You are the lowest form of human life that I've been able to observe or see. You're a monster. Honestly, You're just evil. What you did was sickening and disgusting. We're done here. Take him to prison, please." A few months later, there was another twist. The boy's mom admitted she had lied during the trial because she thought she loved Ortiz and wanted to protect him. Realizing her mistake and how she hadn't looked out for her kids, she ended up facing charges of perjury and neglect. She got a sentence of 5 to 15 years in prison and said not protecting her kids was the biggest mistake she'd ever made. The story of 18-year-old Peyton Gendron really left a mark on everyone's minds. Back in May 2022, he carried out a terrifying attack on the Tops Friendly Market, which is in a mainly black area in New York. Gendron, filled with hatred and armed, killed 10 black people and injured 3 more. When the police arrested him, they found a manifesto that showed he believed in some really harmful racist ideas, stuff like ethno-nationalism and white supremacy. This all pointed to a hate crime that was clearly motivated by race, done by someone who wasn't from that community. In court, when the victims got the chance to face Gendron, he showed absolutely no regret. It was really tough on the victims, and you could see just how deep the tragedy was for them. At first, in May 2022, he said he wasn't guilty, but then in November 2022, he switched and admitted his guilt to all the charges the state brought against him. The court was pretty clear in its message to him. There is no place for you or your ignorant, hateful, and evil ideologies in a civilized society. You will never see the light of day as a free man ever again. It is the judgment of this court for your conviction under the first count of the indictment, a domestic act of terrorism motivated by hate in the first degree, an A1 felony, that you be sentenced to life imprisonment without parole. Then, in February 2023, Peyton Gendron was given 11 life sentences, one after the other, making sure he'd never leave prison. It was a strong ending to a case that really rattled the whole country. And just when you thought you could start to process such questionable behavior, another courtroom scene unfolded with a guy named Austin Boone. He was up in Jefferson District Court on January 23rd. He got caught speeding, like 22 miles over the speed limit, and also for having some drunk stuff in his car. During his arraignment, his lawyer was there trying to guide him, but Austin seemed pretty unsure about what to say. The judge, trying to help him out, just said, "Just say guilty or not guilty." Austin ended up agreeing to a deal. The judge laid it out. The agreement was to plead guilty and get a $44 fine plus traffic school plus a $100 fine for the drug paraphernalia. You would pay that today. Is that what you understood? Austin confirmed that's what he agreed to. But then things got a bit more complicated. While all this was going on, a deputy noticed Austin's clothes were a bit too casual for court, which didn't impress the judge. She told him, "Your pants need to be up in the courtroom." Austin shot back, saying his shorts are up, but you could feel the tension rising. The judge wasn't having any of it and pressed him. "Do you understand that you're in court?" Austin replied with a simple, "Yes, ma'am," but the judge wasn't convinced and ordered him to pull his pants up. Austin hesitated, and the judge warned him, "You're gonna stay here much longer than anticipated if you don't pull your pants up." Things escalated when there was another incident about Austin's clothes, and the judge had enough. She said, "Removing your pants showed extremely poor judgment." She ended up finding him in direct contempt of court and sentenced him to 7 days in jail, though he only served 2 days, in addition to the fines he was already hit with. Austin just couldn't believe the sentence, showing a clear mismatch between what the courtroom expected and how he behaved. Jeremy DeWitt, who's known for getting into heated situations, got caught up in yet another tense moment. He yelled, "What the f*** does it look like I'm doing, dumbass? Get the f*** over before you find out." Even though he sometimes acts like he's a cop, his real run-ins with the law in Florida are about carrying hidden weapons. Local police, who've dealt with him before for pretending to be an officer, just groaned when they heard it was him again. Oh God, not him again. It's Jeremy. His controversial behavior didn't stop there. He was later found with a gun, and during his arrest, he protested, "What are you doing? My help! I'm trying to identify you because I can't see you." At the police station, there was some confusion about an item DeWitt had that looked a lot like a gun. An officer questioned him. "So this online identifies as a Glock, basically a Glock replica. Can you show me anywhere on here where it gives anybody the idea that this is not a firearm?" DeWitt had a hard time proving it was harmless. Even though his initial charges got dropped, DeWitt's legal problems didn't end there. He had a bunch of other cases still hanging over him. A judge pointed out he has 10 or 11 other cases that he's currently in, showing just how deep his legal issues went. He got his bond back and was let go for a while, but he still has a lot of unresolved court stuff that reflects his ongoing tense relationship with the law and court system.